Good morning, this is Faith&books. It's a really chilly morning out, but I just felt like being outside because the sun's coming up earlier every day, and that's kind of nice. So I thought I'd sit out here, but it's brisker than I thought it would be. Anyway, I just wanted to make a very quick video in praise of quiet books. I just finished this book yesterday afternoon, The Marriage of Katherine by D.E. Stevenson. And I don't know if you're familiar with her as an author. I discovered her back in just 2 years ago. She's a Scottish writer. I think she's somehow related to Robert Louis Stevenson. And she was popular in the 40s and 50s. And I said this before in a previous video, I think my last video. But I just want to talk about comfort reads and how sometimes books that maybe, are never going to win a prize or, be cutting edge or, plumb the depths of, existential angst or anything like that. They're not going to be, studied in English departments at universities. But they serve a beautiful purpose, and they're like a balm to the reader, and it's like the author's giving you a gift of kindness and gentleness and a sense of peace, and that's what this author, I think, does, D.E. Stevenson. And I forget what her initials stand for. Oh, I forget what her name was, Doris something. Oh, I can't remember what the initials stand for. Anyway, I first heard about her a couple of years ago, and I read, the very first book I read by her was The Amberwells, and I have no recollection of that book. And I went back to try to see if I'd made any record, and I can't find anything. But then I read Anna and Her Daughters, which was a really lovely book, very reminiscent of this book, the same style, same setting, same kind of dynamic going on. And then I read her Miss Bunkle's series, which was a really cute series. The first one is Miss Bunkle's book, which was, I think that might be my favorite so far because it's really funny. This she's getting to be a spinster, this woman living with her old nurse maid in this little village, and I think it's between the wars, and she, because of the economy, her only source of income were her dividends that she had inherited, and the economy collapses, and so she's not getting enough from her dividends to live on, and she's kind of facing starvation. She's trying to figure out how to keep body and soul together. So, she never imagined herself a writer, but in just an act of desperation, she said, I'm just going to write a book. So she writes this book furiously for weeks, and then she sends it off to a publisher, and she's so naive, she doesn't know what she's doing, but it gets published, and then it becomes a bestseller. But that causes problems because she very, very thinly disguised her not altogether pleasant neighbors in her little village, and everyone reads the book and recognizes it, and they know that it must have been written by somebody who lives there in the village, and so they're trying to figure out who it is. So that creates a lot of funny circumstances. And it's a very sweet and funny book. That's Miss Bunkle's book. And then there's a whole series about Miss Bunkle. She gets married and various things happen. Kind of focuses on other people rather than Miss Bunkle. But anyway, that's not the book I read. I read The Marriage of Katherine. And I sort of talked about it before in the other video, but it doesn't really have a plot. It's just about the first 4 months in her marriage and what happens. The first part, it's almost like in thirds. The first part's about their honeymoon, where they basically camping in a cave on the Scottish Highlands. Sounds very idyllic and beautiful. It sort of reminded me of, I think it's the book Riders of the Purple Sage. Is that the one where the hero finally wins the woman he's been in love with, and he takes her off, and they're camping, and that's considered their honeymoon? I don't know my whole thing is I always wonder, where do they go to the bathroom? Anyway, so that's the first part of the book, and they meet this lord of is that how you say it? Laird, of the manor and his daughter. And it's very nice. And then they come back home. They have to come back home kind of abruptly because the hero in the story, Alec, is his sister. Zilla is a lot of problems, and all I could think of when reading that part of the book is that his sister really sort of suffered from borderline personality disorder or something. She was always angry and making horrible scenes, very manipulative and insulting, and he'd sort of been cowed by her. I don't understand why he was cowed by her. This is a sequel, so maybe I would understand the relationships more if I'd read the first book. But anyway, he's kind of cowed by her, and it was sort of an act of defiance to get married to Katherine. So they're dealing with her, and then she moves to London. And then the last part of the book deals with Katherine's stepson from a former marriage. So her 16-year-old son, Simon, was the son of Katherine's first husband, but then Simon's mother dies, and then Katherine marries his father, but then his father dies. Gerard. Is that his name, or Gerald? I can't remember. Anyway, and then it's complicated, but so then it's all about Simon at the end. So it didn't really have a plot. It just sort of meandered through their first 4 months. It's very sweet. There's no sex in it at all, but it's very I don't know, I just feel like it's an act of kindness on the part of the author. It's a very calm and soothing book, and especially in this time right now with coronavirus, it was a nice refuge, and so it really made me appreciate these quiet books that soothe and kind of give you some respite. And it's not, the most stellar writing in the world. The dialogue is a bit wooden, I would say, but it's lovely. It was lovely anyway. So I just wanted to, make D.E. Stevenson and her works known. She wrote another very popular series based on a character named Mrs. Tim, and I wanna find those books and read them eventually. So that's my review of The Marriage of Katherine by D.E. Stevenson. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you stay healthy, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.